On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the debate is over. The 2018 draft class, Tate. We remember it.
Yes.
What a great draft class it was.
Who's the best player in the draft?
Everyone was trying to suss out. There were a lot of debates over.
Is it DeAndre Ayton? Is it
lot
Marvin Bagley?
The debate is finally over. If we are using playoff success
Yes.
as an indicator, and I think we
Yes.
should,
Always.
it means
I've always used that.
a debate has finally been drawn to a conclusion.
Yes.
Mikal Bridges is in fact better than Jalen Brunson.
Yes.
Lock it in.
Yes.
That's what I was talking about the whole
Yes.
time.
Yes. He did it. We're sorry,
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson. You came on
Yep.
the show. You defended your National Player of the Year. We actually agreed with you by the time you left the show. We were like, he was the National
Yeah.
Player of the Year.
Well, no, he incepted us because he was kind of like, yeah, Mikal was really good too. Mikal was probably better than me.
Exactly,
And,
but then
we're
that
like,
led us to
"Wait,
think, well,
what?"
he was the leader of the team, so he was,
Yeah.
in fact, the National
Yeah.
Player of the Year. He men in blacked us.
Yep.
He zapped us. He made us forget. But again, you brought it back, and thank you for doing that.
Game 7 happened. The Clippers beat the Mavericks. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but yeah, we're hitting the playoffs today. What else is there, Tate?
Man, I mean, in general, we got the Bucks. We got KD, you know, in his first game going against Giannis. We got to talk about that. Talk about Game 2, what we expect to
Talk
see from the
about
series.
Blake Griffin
Yeah.
finding the fountain of youth.
Or
the
just
sandbagging.
proving that the NBA is rigged because he was like, I will not be a franchise player. Buy me out. And now I will be
This
a
sandbagging
franchise
son of
level
a
player.
bitch diving all over the floor.
The must bus. The must bus.
We're gonna talk playoffs. We're gonna talk. I got my fraud power rankings ready.
Oh, right.
We
Nice.
might figure out which hands of the league
The
is
Clippers.
in now.
Good job.
Yeah,
Dodged it.
But if Luke is out, whose hands are the league in now? We're gonna have to suss that out.
I think it might be Devin Booker.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll get to all of it, but first.
Woody Durham.
What do we want to start with, Tate? Game 7. Does that make the most sense? I guess.
I
It
think
was,
so.
It was sort of a dud of a game, given that I think the Clippers won. I think that's really it. I think that's why I say it's a dud of the game, because I think everyone
Yeah.
tuned in thinking we're about to see the first series in NBA history where the road team wins every single game.
Every single game.
We're about to see the coronation of Luka Doncic. We are about to see the Clippers have to blow it up and start from scratch. This team that was thrown together basically going into last year, and then everyone laughed when it all fell apart and they blew a 3-1 lead in the bubble.
This
And that
was it. This was the final
and then,
moment.
when they blow Game 7.
Kawhi's leaving. He's going
Yep.
to Miami. Paul George is getting traded. Steve Ballmer's moving the team to Seattle. That
When
was
all
the
of
final
that,
moment.
when they lose Game 7 at home, that was
Yes.
all going to happen.
Yes.
I think that's why we all tuned in. And then the Clippers just kind of, it wasn't a blowout, but like the Clippers seemed to be in control. For
They went
most
like
of
a
the game, except-
24-4 run there in
Yeah,
the third quarter.
Luka was balling out, but at the same time, every bit of excitement about Luka was the caveat of look at the score, you're down by 8, and the Clippers, and they kind of ruined it. They ruined Game 7. The two best words in sports, as they say every time there's a Game 7, it's beaten to our brains. The two best words, Game 7, and I was watching it. And I was just thinking, this doesn't have a Game 7 feel. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the takeaway. Is did this feel like a Game 7? I don't think it did.
I think this
Second
series had bubble residuals where they still thought they were in the bubble. They played like they were in the bubble. It didn't matter about home. It didn't matter about away. They didn't care. But we get to Game 7, and I think Kawhi Leonard finally looked around. He saw the writing on the wall. For whatever reason, the Clippers had no pressure on them in Game 7. You know what I mean? You would expect we come back. Like if the Lakers are playing Game 7.
Because I don't think you can kill what's already dead. I think
Exactly.
like they were just like
We were already we're feasting. We have the pitchforks ready. Get rid of the Clippers. Get them out of here. And that was the perfect backdrop for Kawhi Leonard to have a beautiful clinical game to go ahead and prove to the world, hey, I think it was the most points that anyone had had in a series since Shaq in 2000.
Who, Kawhi or Luka?
Kawhi.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. Go look it up. That's what I heard on SportsCenter this morning, and I was like, what? Okay. So Kawhi had a historic series as well. Luka's having a historic series. But the best part about all of this, because we're company men, Nick Wright came back to Twitter.
Yep.
And Nick Wright, after the first quarter, Luka has the meme where he gives the thumbs up, and Nick Wright says to the world, it's a Luka season.
Yep.
He had his pitchfork up in the air at this point. He's like, get the Clippers all the way out of my face. And that's why it was such a dud, because we all got hyped up after the first quarter. We all saw the writing on the wall that Luka's going to break their hearts, and then he didn't. And now we're all sitting here like, are the Clippers the favorite to win the championship?
Could the Clippers win the championship?
And that is how far we've gone. We've gone from the series is over after 2 games to are they the favorites to win the title? And that will show you how stupid sports media is right there. That moment, that 2-week span in time will show you how dumb all of this is. We went from the series is over to are they the favorites? What? That's what we live in.
And also, this series, the Game 7 had a lot of fraud implications. I might as well just dive into the fraud power rankings because we're towing around a little bit. But whoever lost this game, I thought was going to be a fraud. I thought the loser of this game is Stamp It, a fraud.
Yes.
Luka is a fraud.
Market, fraud.
Not the case, really. It's I guess it's not strange at all, but.
Well, what the Mavs did is, I think it's a very college basketball thing. They decided we must have a fall guy. And that fall guy is 7'3", and his name is Kristaps Porzingis. And I think immediately the pivot that they made after that game was this was not Luka's fault.
Dude, it was very orchestrated.
It was not Luka's fault. Luka will get the supermax. Kristaps Porzingis is the problem. Rick Carlisle, not the problem. Mark Cuban, not the problem. Front office, definitely not the problem. It's only Kristaps Porzingis.
I want to dive into my fraud power rankings.
Please.
I usually save it for the end of the show.
It's time to bump it up.
we got to, because I have a lot of thoughts, and I want to go through these, and we're towing around it anyway. So let's just dive in, and then we'll save whatever we don't hit in the fraud power rankings, and whatever else we can save it for later. So, number 5 I'm going to start in the Philly series because number 5, the Philly, yesterday before Game 7 happens, Trae Young destroys Philadelphia, and then the Sixers kind of come back. They throw out the 7th grade press basically, and the Hawks are like, weren't ready for this. And Rick Pitino's like, I told you the press could work in the NBA.
Always press.
Always press.
Splutz.
I don't understand. So number 5 on my list of the fraud power rankings is Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid starts the before the game. I was not aware of this because I'm not up to date on all the pre-game rituals in the NBA that were instituted 7 years ago.
Yes.
But apparently there's a ritual in the city of Philadelphia that they ring this bell.
Yes.
It's like their version of a
The
first
Liberty
pitch.
Bell.
They bring out the celebrity. Yeah. He hits the bell. Triple H was the celebrity they chose because Joel Embiid in the first series against the Wizards on the what do you call it, the video, the GIF, whatever's being passed around where Joel Embiid is doing the suck it crotch
Told him
shot.
to suck it, yeah.
And just thrust the process. So Triple H was in Philly to ring the bell, and Joel Embiid comes out with him, and it's a whole scene, and he's got a sledgehammer. And
it was, if you watch that opening scene, you would say to yourself, there's no way in hell the Sixers are losing this game.
Yeah.
In fact, if I'm the Hawks, I just pack it up because, I mean, they're so fired up. Embiid, you obviously would see that and think, this guy's locked in. He's going to have a great day. Woo, not the case.
Not the case. I mean, Embiid had, 39 points?
Yeah, but it was a
yeah.
My favorite thing is empty stats when people say, like, someone will have 12 assists and they say it's empty.
Yep.
But this was an empty 39 in the sense that, like, Joel Embiid, I thought he was going to come out and dominate this game. And you got John Collins. I love John Collins. Love John the Baptist. But John Collins can't be getting alley-oop dunks on you, and it can't be this easy situation where they were trying to feel out the Hawks, and then the Hawks are just scoring every single time. They're like, yeah, keep filling us out. What are you guys doing over here? Are there going to be any adjustments?
Yeah.
And Doc, after the game, says, yeah, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to handle Trae better. I'm like, it came back to the Anthony Davis after game 1 when he's like I got to play better. Like,
yeah. I'm so kidding. It's that easy. Why didn't you do it already?
You guys not talk about this at halftime? I don't understand.
But Joel Embiid is, as we know, his antics are awesome when he's winning.
Yes.
His shenanigans are cheeky and fun when he's winning.
That is the NBA. That is the modern
Yep.
NBA star. The antics are awesome when they're winning, then when it goes the other way, not so.
They're not so much. So lose game 1, so you're a fraud. The antics were not fun. So Joel Embiid is number 5. I'm staying in Philadelphia with number 4.
Oh,
It is a guy who made the fraud power ranking so much fun last year in the bubble when he was the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. And it was fun discussing what is wrong with the Clippers. Is it Doc Rivers? Is it Paul George? Is it Kawhi Leonard? Doc Rivers no longer the coach of the Clippers. Still a fraud in my eyes, at least for now. Number 4, Doc Rivers. Because of what you said, that you have 2 guys who are defensive player of the year caliber guys,
yes.
and Thibault and Ben Simmons. And he throws Danny Green on Trae Young, and he has the attitude of like, maybe we should switch it up. Maybe, and you're like, yeah, no shit. Like, what? How did you get to this point in the first place?
And poor Danny Green was so tired he couldn't even take a shot. I don't think he had a field goal attempt into the second half. I'm serious. I was watching. You know, I'm obviously pulling for the Sixers as a Danny Green fan, as a North Carolina fan. So I'm watching Danny.
Yeah.
I'm all hyped up, and Danny's running all over. He's running in circles, and then the only thing that you can do when you have Danny Green is say, well, hey, if he's getting killed on one end, at least he can make up for it on the other end.
Right.
And now he's taking no shots because he's so tired. I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense to me.
They were trapping Trey a lot too. It felt like, or maybe it just seemed like when I was really locked in paying attention, it felt like they were throwing a lot of traps at him, which does not work either. It just felt like a very, like I said, the Sixers, from start to finish, the Sixers strategy felt like it was like an 8th grade AAU basketball game where you're losing late. Let's throw a press, or I guess a college basketball game. Let's just press and try to come back.
Yeah.
And it was working, I guess, because the Hawks were throwing it all over the gym. But they were like, I don't know if anyone's thought about this. Trey Young, not as tall as some of these other guys. Why don't we just simply trap him? And then Trey's like,
yeah, he's like, I actually love a double team.
Free ball. Yeah.
If Bogdanovich is let open,
yeah,
perfect.
Bogdanovich hit it. So Doc Rivers, they got to figure that out. Are you panicking at all about the Sixers?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. I famously bet the Sixers to win the championship this year. I am panicking, from the sense that Joel Embiid, I'm not sure how many games we can have Joel Embiid have 39, 40 points. Moving forward, he's going to have 12 wins. And this was a 40-point performance where you get a loss, so that's not good. I'm worried about his knee in general, but you mentioned it. I mean, the fact that the Sixers basically came out and treated these guys like they were, nobodies, and that they were going to win regardless. The Sixers acted like if Joel didn't play, that they would still win this game pretty handily.
Right.
And that attitude obviously did not work in Game 1. They lose that game, but I also think that was probably a nice shock to the system. I think they get things figured out. They are the better team. They're the deeper team. They have the most talent.
Does Game 1 matter? I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if Game 1...
Is it an anomaly, or
is it like a feeling out, or is it a precursor? I don't understand. I
think it's an anomaly because I do think that it kind of the best example I can give that I can think of in the history of basketball was Michael Jordan's first finals in 1991. They lost Game 1 to the Lakers, and after that game, they asked the Bulls, like they asked a bunch of players, are you panicking? Are you worried? Whatever. And Scottie Pippen basically said we have to make bounce passes. And, a lot of people kind of looked at him like, what? Like, what do you mean you got to make bounce passes? But they made Magic, play down, get low, and Magic didn't want to do that. And they literally started throwing bounce, but they win the series in 5. So the rest is history. So in that sense, it's like we used this game, we learned something, and then we used that for the rest of the series. And we course corrected and we won. So I think that's what's going to happen with the Sixers. I hope that this game, we learned who Trey Young was. We give him a tip of the cap.
Right.
But now we're going to have, different looks thrown at him. We're not going to have Danny Green to chase him around the entire time. Maybe Ben Simmons is on him a little bit. But regardless, we're going to give him different looks. And I think that will change this series. I'm not saying the Sixers will win in 5. I do think they'll win in 6.
Okay.
So that's what I
would
think.
probably agree with you. So you don't think the Hawks can win this series? That's the other question we're asking ourselves.
I think anyone can win any series. I will never write anyone off, but I think that if I look at their team, I would say I don't see a path that they win this series. I don't see them winning 4 games, right?
Okay.
I see them winning 2 games, at most maybe 3.
Right.
I don't see 4 games. I'm not seeing 4. Show me the 4th game, America, and I'll lock in. But I don't see 4. But Trey Young has defied everybody, right? I mean, Trey Young, we talked about how much people hate him. And every single...
I don't think you can hate him anymore because I think that's what he wants. And I don't think... I think people are too stupid to figure that out. That he's not... The guy is not normal.
Yeah,
he really truly does feed off the hatred. He's been hated. We went through it like... He's been hated his whole life. He doesn't really have a... There's never been a... When he was in college, he led the country in assists and points.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is true, but I'm sure when he was in Norman, there were people that were saying that he shouldn't be a 5-star. You know? He's not a 5-star.
No,
I've seen 5-stars.
Yeah, and then he goes to Oklahoma, and even as Oklahoma started losing, people like really. I'm sure there were even Oklahoma. It's probably not true, but I don't mean to get mad at Oklahoma fans. But I'm sure. If I
this
say
is what Trey wants.
If I say it confidently, there were probably Oklahoma fans that were like, "This guy shoots too much. He's a ball
Get him
hog.
out of here."
Yeah, we keep losing. Trey, it's cool that he has all these stats, but we've lost like 6 games in a row. Get him out of here.
Yeah,
I actually think we'll be better next year without Trey Young.
That's what I heard.
I don't understand why people are falling into his trap though of hating him, because it's just giving him fuel. He truly is like better as he gets the more he's hated. But anyway,
so maybe after game one, that's what they should have done. Danny Green should have gone to the press conference and said Trae Young is one of the best young guards in the league. I think he's better than Luka.
I think what the Philadelphia 70s, if they lose game 2
kill
at
him
home,
with kindness.
If they lose game 2 at home, they need to do what the Kansas fans did for Buddy Hield and give him a standing ovation when he comes out to do his post game interview. Just give Trae a standing ovation.
Yes.
Be like, we love you. And MVP when he's at the free throw line.
Recruit him to Philadelphia.
If there's one city I know that will definitely do that, it's Philadelphia. Their fans are definitely wired that way. So.
Yes. They're like, you deserve the credit, not our shitty team. Yeah.
That's good. Number 3 on the fraud power rankings, and this is why I wanted to cut off the Game 7 talk a little bit, because now we're getting into it. My number 3 fraud power rankings is the entire Dallas Mavericks organization.
Wow.
All of them. Everybody. Top to bottom. This starts at the top. This starts with Mark Cuban. This starts, as you reminded me yesterday, that Mark Cuban, before the bubble, or when they got into the bubble last year, said he would divorce his wife over giving up Luka if he has to pick.
Yeah.
That was starts with that.
They asked him what would it take to get rid of Luka.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, how much would you give up for Luka?
That still feels like a fake quote. Maybe it is. Maybe it doesn't matter if it is or not, because the sentiment is there. Because Mark Cuban's like, even if I didn't say that, I thought it.
He's like,
he thought it.
You get it. You aggregated it. You got
there
it.
Is the Mavericks have not won. I was not aware of this until I had this thrown in my face everywhere I turned yesterday after they lose Game 7. The Dallas Mavericks have not won a playoff series since they won the title in 2011.
Yep.
In 10 years, they have gone to the playoffs 6 times. They're 0-6 in the first round. We talk about the Mavericks as though they are one of the better organizations in sports, or the better organizations in the NBA, because I think Mark Cuban's a fun owner. He's a guy that is a celebrity. He has Shark Tank. He is not afraid to speak his mind. He is kind of a little benevolent, where he'll like every so often like help a kid will call Mark Cuban and be like, how do I make billions of dollars, Mark? And it's like, try really hard, or don't try really hard, whatever, or some combination of the two. I don't know.
Be the best version of you.
Yes. So he's if I understand a lot of people don't like Mark Cuban, but if you're talking about billionaire owners of sports teams, he's certainly on the more likable side.
He's in the affable side.
Yes. He's more likable. Rick Carlisle is considered one of the best coaches, and I'm not saying he's not, but there's a lot around Dallas.
You think the PR is good?
The PR is through the roof. And then when you stop and you think about the fact that they have not won a playoff series, not a single playoff series, not a championship,
not a
playoff
game.
series, not a game. We're talking about a playoff series. Since 2011. The Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009, and they treat it like...
I mean, it's over. Yeah,
like it's been 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's like desolate. Yeah.
Dallas hasn't won a playoff series. So I have to put them on the fraud power rankings at number 3. There you go.
What do you think, if you are a Dallas Mavs fan, do you think you're at the point where you're upset? That's the real thing, because they won in 2011, which I feel like got them cachet for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Really, where you just don't say anything. You let Dirk get his final contracts, get paid. You're okay with it. Then you get Luka, which is... I mean, that is basically winning a championship based on Mark Cuban's reaction to it. So they have been able to celebrate these moments. They got the farewell tour to Dirk, then they get Luka to come. So they've been able to kind of stopgap every single moment, so it doesn't feel like it's that long. You know what I mean? It's like the Dirk era ended, and then we started the Luka era. Yeah. So it's not that far removed. We're only 4 years into the Luka era.
And then Dirk is coming back.
And now he's at the games.
That's helpful in PR.
And that's reminding us that we did win championships with him. And I think the Mavs...
Championships, you're right. We won championships, quote unquote.
Yes, because we went to the finals.
Yeah, we went to the
finals.
Well,
LeBron James taught us that if you go to the finals, it's a championship.
Yeah,
That's what we all learned in 2018. It doesn't matter if you win; it's about getting there. And so the Mavs fans in general, I think that they're happy. I think they're content. But I think you're right. We need to start, we
need to start throwing the F word around. We need to start throwing the F word around. That's all I'm saying. We got to start throwing it around. And they make the trade. Like, I think part of the reason I was pissed off that the Mavs lost, beyond like wanting to hate the Clippers, is that I liked the Mavericks team last year so much more, where they just went full-fledged on go all in on the offense. Trey Burke was getting minutes in the playoffs last year, and he would just go nuts in the bubble.
He was amazing.
Seth Curry was awesome. They traded Seth Curry away for Josh Richardson to help the defense, because they couldn't guard anybody last year. And they said, well, what if we make this trade? We'll have Josh Richardson. He's a defensive guy. He'll solve all of our problems. I think their defense was worse this year.
Yes.
Which is it tells me you have no lack of identity. If this was college basketball and your identity was just score a shit ton of points, you would have gone more in that direction and not be trading for. You would have figured out a way to get more shooters around Luka. More.
Yes.
They didn't do that. They say let's be a better basketball team, and that's our problem. Is if we swap out Seth Curry for Josh Richardson, that'll solve everything. You still lose in the first round to the exact same team you lost in the first round to last year. It's time to throw around the F word. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when you have Kristaps Porzingis after the fact say that he wanted to be a co-star instead of basically, this thrown away character in the world of the Dallas Mavs, that's also not bad because I think at the end of the day, you can spin this as he was the problem. So I think, like, talk about PR, like they're going to win the PR again. This isn't an offseason where people say, well, the front office is to blame because they made that trade for Josh Richardson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to say, hey, they're to blame because they traded for Kristaps Porzingis. But also they're not because it was a smart trade because they gave up, a first-round pick in Dennis Smith Jr.? So it wasn't like they gave up that much. So they win the PR of the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. There's never a moment where you can look at the Mavs and start throwing crap at them and say, this is a problem, that's a problem, because they have it covered, and that's Mark Cuban.
That's
Shark Tank.
Genius. But I see through it, and I'm throwing the F word out there.
That's good.
Number 3, the entire Dallas Mavericks organization. Number 2, speaking of Luka and his teammates and whose fault is this, at number 2 on the fraud power rankings, I have the teammates of every superstar who loses in the playoffs.
Yes.
Every single one. If you get bounced from the playoffs, we know this to be true. It is not LeBron James' fault. It is not Luka Doncic's fault.
Nope.
It is not Damian Lillard's fault. It is not
Nope.
Jason Tatum's fault.
Nope.
They need more help. Everybody needs more help. But also, we all hate super teams, and we hate it when guys get more help.
Yes.
So those are 2 thoughts that we have, is that you need more help if you're a superstar.
But not too much help.
But not too much help. You got to find the right amount of help.
Which is why the Milwaukee Bucks have shown us how to do it. The Milwaukee Bucks, we saw last year in the bubble, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We said, this guy needs help. The only help he has is Chris Middleton, this other all-star. We need help.
Not enough help. Need more help.
But we couldn't get another all-star because then there'd be 3 all-stars. 3 all-stars equals a super team. So what do? We get Drew Holiday, who plays like an all-star,
Borderline all-star,
but has never been given the moniker of an all-star. Then we get him the Bucks, and now they're just, they're a suitable team.
And now they're probably not
finally got some help
for everyone listening because they played tonight.
Yeah, because they played 3 all-stars.
They played 3 all-stars, so I'm not sure that works either. But hopefully they win tonight.
And by 3 all-stars, I mean Blake Griffin. A lot of people at home are saying James Harden, he's not playing. What do you mean 3 all-stars? No, Blake Griffin's an all-star.
Blake Griffin is an all-star.
He's an all-star.
And he's playing game 1. He played like an all-star.
Exactly.
He is a sandbag.
And that blows your mind.
I don't think there's any other way to describe it. It's like Blake's coasted until it's time to. He's like, well, you kind of need me. All right, well then I'll.
I mean, think about the Pistons front office as they watch this.
I know.
They're like, I watched this guy in practice. This is hilarious. He was sandbagging us the whole time.
You're sandbagging son of a bitch.
These left-handed dunks that he's throwing down.
What do we do about this with I don't know with the idea of all these guys that need help I'm fascinated by Luka in general. I'm fascinated by like Luka, like Porzingis is kind of starting that conversation where he's like, I thought I would kind of get the ball more, and we all just stand around and watch Luka. And as I think about how the Mavericks fix their problems, quote unquote, I don't understand how like bringing in another all-star is going to help because he's just probably going to stand around. Like it feels Luka is Harden. Luka's Harden on the Rockets, and it feels like they're going to cycle through their Westbrooks and their Chris Pauls and try to figure out what superstar you put next to Luka to make it work. And they're all just going to stand there and watch Luka dribble, and he's awesome. And I don't understand why like people were killing Harden for this. Were they not? I don't know. I don't pay that much attention.
Of course.
But when Luka does it, it's like, why does this man not have any help? Do we not already see the future? Do we not already see that when the Mavericks bring in insert superstar here, how is that like what they really need is just more that's why I'm so upset. They just need shooters. Just put like 1,000 shooters around there. Who cares about defense if you're scoring 2.8 points per possession?
Yeah.
Who cares about defense?
Yeah. No,
just,
I mean
like,
and
you're unstoppable off it. Just go.
Luka has the exact same. I mean, it's the exact same situation as LeBron. I know a lot of people say he is LeBron, but he is the exact same fit because you can't bring a point guard there. What is the rule of LeBron James? Why do you think Dennis Schroeder has had a horrible year? Because LeBron James is the point guard. The ball is in his hands, so Dennis Schroeder's main ability on a basketball court is changed and has been shifted. Now he's shooting spot-up jump shots, and he's 0 for 9, and he's looking around like, what is happening here? So you can't bring in another point guard with Luka and say, this is how we fix this situation. You have to find people, spacers, whatever you want to say. But regardless, you know what you're building a team around. It's around Luka. And as long as that's how they operate, I think they'll be okay. The only problem that I have with the Dallas Mavericks is with Carlisle, who's a very basketball-minded individual, I think they're trying to build a championship team. And I will say, like, a championship team and a team that's curated to Luka will look a little bit differently, as it has with LeBron.
Right.
LeBron's championship version is different than all of our other great superstars' championship teams. You know, we don't necessarily need a traditional point guard. We don't need a traditional big. We need space.
Yes.
And that's what Luka needs. He needs space. And that's why Seth Curry is probably the perfect person to be around him.
He was absolutely perfect.
He literally
He was perfect.
gives him so much space.
It
Why
is
do you think he's
frustrating
playing with
that-
Ben Simmons
yes.
right now? Because Ben Simmons needs space. Joel Embiid needs space.
So the whole idea of guys need more help and that'll solve everything. Especially in the case of LeBron, because I mean, he's basically the GM and he calls all the shots and brings guys in. But I don't know, whatever. That number 2 on my fraud power rankings, and that brings me to number 1, which you mentioned this man earlier. He's a colleague of ours.
Oof.
We love him.
Oof.
But I don't see how anybody else can be number 1 on the fraud power rankings.
Shannon Sharp.
Nick Wright.
Oh, okay, all right. Some LeBron defender had to be number 1 here.
Nick Wright, who I know 3 things about Nick Wright's basketball fandom. These 3 things. These are the 3 things I know about him.
I wonder if I know him. All right,
number 1, he loves LeBron James.
Yes, I do know
more
that.
than any human being on earth.
More
than LeBron James.
And adopted this, like in 2016?
Yes. yeah.
Which to me seemed like a late in life adoption, but I like it.
Nick Wright loves LeBron James. The Lakers lose. LeBron loses in the first round for the first time in his career. Nick is spiraling. He doesn't know what to do.
He's off Twitter.
Every step of the way, he's like, it's fine. The Lakers are. He is the meme of the dog with the fire around him. He's like, this is fine. I'm not panicking. I don't care.
Don't worry.
The Lakers can be down 3-0. I trust LeBron James in the first round. It's going to work out. It did not work out.
It did not.
He gets off Twitter. But that brings us to the other 2 things I know about Nick Wright's basketball fandom. He loves Luka Doncic.
Yes, he does.
And he hates the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yes.
The current iteration of the Los Angeles
Again,
Clippers.
that was started around 2019.
Yes.
that pure vitriol.
They are frauds. They are not the Kings of LA because LeBron James is the king of LA. So Nick Wright.
So it's almost like point 3 is attached to point 1.
Yes. They're all one and the same. And this was he took every single egg he has, put him in all of those baskets, and over the course of the last week, he watched all of those baskets bust open and the eggs have fallen onto the ground.
No, he looked in the basket and said, "Oh my God, these eggs are flat.
These are flat
These
eggs.
are flat eggs."
And listen, the fraud power rankings are objective. I don't mean to lob grenades at friends. I don't mean to have friendly fire here.
No,
but,
we want Nick to come on the show and
yeah.
to explain to us where his head is at. You
Yeah.
know, moving forward. Like, what does LeBron need to stay at the top of the mountain?
What do LeBron
You know what I
and
mean?
Luka need? They need
Yes.
more help.
Yes.
But like Nick, what help do they need? Let's figure it out together.
It would be great if he's just like, Luka needs to go to LA.
Luka to the
Luka, forget about your supermax. Forget about your bird rights. None of that matters. Win a championship for LeBron. We got to go for 6.
Or Nick is fighting for Damian Lillard to play for both teams. Just like fly back and forth. Like whoever's on national television that week, if it's the Lakers and Mavericks.
Are we on TNT?
Dame gets that game. And then whatever game is like the local, like whoever's playing the Magic, Dame, you don't play in that game. You play in the other.
Here is the issue with Dame. I've seen the Lakers fans. I've seen Lakers fans even go as far, Titus, to say they want to trade Anthony Davis for Dame Lillard. But it brings back the exact point I just brought up. Dame Lillard is a point guard. So is LeBron James. So is Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
So if they play on the same team, it's the Kyrie Irving LeBron situation where both guys are like, I should have the ball.
Yeah.
And then we have a stalemate, and then it all blows up. So
that's when
Dame Lillard is not the answer, is all I'm saying to the Lakers fans. He's not the answer.
But then that's when you need the third guy where you have the Kyrie James Harden. That's like Kyrie James Harden, but then you throw in Durant, and then it's just so much talent.
Is that AD?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's AD.
Okay.
So trade. Why don't they trade Kuzma? He wasn't very good this year. Trade Kuzma for Damian Lillard.
And the best part about, like, that's what Lakers fans will say to you, or not even Lakers fans. That's what LeBron fans will say to you. And then
Caruso and Kuzma for Dame Lillard,
like,
straight up.
And then you say to them, you're like, so why would the Blazers want Kuzma? They're like, he's 6'8", he can score from anywhere on the floor. Like, you just called him trash 5 seconds ago.
I love it. I love it. Those are your frauds. So as it pertains to Game 7, I don't know. I wanted to talk about the Mavs blowing it, but then also Luka needs help. What else we got hit on? Shout out to Luke Kennard. Shout out to ACC. Luke Kennard and Terrence Mann both coming out of nowhere a little bit. Terrence Mann is getting Terrence Mann, not as surprising, I guess. He's part of the rotation. But,
yes.
Luke Kennard did not even play in the first 3 games. Comes out of nowhere in Game 7. What do you have, like 11 points or something?
Yeah,
it felt like 35.
9 or 11 points, but it felt, like you said,
like
he had 30. Yeah, he had an Austin Rivers type game where he came in and made a difference. I mean, it was literally the definition when you hear a home team will have role players step up that you don't expect. That was Luke Kennard's moment. You mentioned Terrence Mann. I think this sums up the Clippers in a nutshell to me. Terrence Mann in the corner. He was kicked out a pass. He shoots the 3. It's a complete air ball. Kawhi Leonard catches said air ball, puts it back in, and one, looks at Terrence Mann and says, good pass. That is the Clippers in a nutshell. It's not necessarily like the Clippers in their mind, it's like we're taking the 3, and then it's going to be an air ball. But the lucky part of their entire existence is that Kawhi Leonard is underneath the basket, and he can take it and say, great pass. He is framing the Clippers in a different light, and I think that is
he's bringing some positivity.
He killed the Clippers' curse at some level yesterday. Like that was a Kawhi Leonard win
in the first round.
Seriously, it was like Kawhi Leonard spiting the idea of like he was superseding the Clippers. Like they were supposed to lose. Everyone knew it was we had the pitchforks out, like I said, and then he was able to get above it and rise above it. So he does not belong on the Clippers, but for right now, if you're a Clippers fan, like you got to be happy we got him.
I'm also mad that the Mavericks did not beat the Clippers because I think the Clippers are going to beat the Jazz, and I'm really worried about that.
Yeah,
I think the Clippers. I think if the Mavs play the Jazz have their way with them. But
absolutely,
I'm worried about
6.
Yeah.
If they're playing the Mavs.
Yeah.
But right now, it's Clips and 6.
Clips and 6. Does every series go to 6?
Yes. That's also one of my favorite tropes of, everyone says this team in 6.
In 6.
Even there was a kid that graduated high school in Phoenix that said Suns in 6 at his graduation, and then the Suns won in 6, and this kid was getting all this love. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally everybody, Just like, my team in 6. It can't be 7.
Oh man, what else is there? What else do we need to talk about?
I mean, in general, can we just talk about the NBA? We at the start of this entire playoff run, we said what is best for the league, right? Because this is an entertainment product. Adam Silver, for people that don't know, the president of NBA entertainment until he was the president of the NBA at large. The last NBA title for current playoff teams, I think this is fascinating because we don't have the Lakers, we don't have the Celtics, we don't have all the Warriors who we've seen so much lately, even the Raptors who we just saw recently.
The San Antonio Spurs,
yes, all gone,
are gone.
They're
the Indiana Pacers who won ABA title,
yes,
not the same, but they're also not in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Cleveland Cavaliers not in the playoffs. Should I keep going?
Yeah,
the Detroit Pistons have won a title.
They're out.
They're out.
They're out. And here we go. So last NBA title for the current playoff teams, the most recent one.
Let me try to think. Let me try to think of this. The most recent. Say it again.
The last NBA title for current playoff teams. The most recent title for the current playoff team. So what year that was?
It's either the Sixers or the Bucks.
It's the Sixers. Put them up.
Yeah.
Moses Malone, 1983.
Wow.
Great times.
Wow.
And before that, 1971, when the first super team. Actually, never mind. The first super team was Elgin Baylor and Jerry West. So this is the second super team. Was built. Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1971 won a title. The only other franchise to have won a title in this group, the Hawks in 1958, but they were the St. Louis Hawks. So I say nay, and I cut them out. So it's only 2 teams that have won a title.
Wow, when you put it like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Wow. All right.
This is the year of the new bloods in the NBA.
Because if it was Nets Clippers, I was going to be disgusted at the idea of those 2 teams playing each other for a title. But now,
you mentioned ABA.
The
Nets have won ABA titles. The Nets have won 2 ABA titles.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of.
What is the?
You know how they do this. These graphics, they'll get you.
What is the exchange rate of ABA to NBA titles?
I guess 0.8.
That's crazy. Wow. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, but then it leads us to the larger conversation of what is best for the NBA brand, right? If you don't have the Lakers, you don't have the Celtics, where you can add on to this amazing legacy, you can build on the bandwagon fans. You could go Sixers. They haven't won one this century. Obviously, when the Eagles won, that was great for the NFL, great for sports in general. The Bucks, we talked about what they dealt with in the bubble with Kenosha. They have, I think, the best player in basketball, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So they have their own fascinating storyline. Then you got like the Suns, who maybe should have won a championship. They're a very storied franchise in the NBA. They have, this great storyline with Chris Paul, who has always been dogged for not winning a championship. If he were able to get this team to a ring, how does that change his legacy? So that's a fascinating wrinkle. You got Jokic, the MVP, and the Nuggets. They've never won a title, even though they've been there multiple times. The Jazz, like you said, the number 1 seed. We've seen them fall short to Jordan before. They've been there on the precipice, on the cusp.
Yep.
So there's lots of storylines, and you could argue with me, honestly, pretty much any of them, and I think that's, except for the Nets. Don't argue the Nets.
I think that's it. I think it's Nets, Clippers. As long as that doesn't happen, America wins.
Then it's a narrative that we can all get behind. Exactly.
I think when Steve Nash beats the Suns in the NBA Finals, I think that is worst case scenario
for everybody.
For everybody. That's just devastating.
I mean, and if you're the Suns, after he went to the Lakers, you kind of gave him a pass. When Steve Nash went to the Lakers, it was kind of like, all right, late in his career, super team, Kobe, yada, yada, yada. But if he coaches the team that takes away your championship, that would probably be the final.
I'm pulling for, I think I want Nuggets or Jazz in the, I like the Suns, all right. Anytime you say a thing you like, you have to, I just feel the Suns fans being like, oh, what did we do to you? But I think I'm pulling for Jazz Nuggets. And then I just want the Bucks to come out of the East. I don't care how they do it. I mean, you're going to have to beat the Nets, obviously, but I don't care if the Hawks or Sixers. Whoever wins that series, I want the Bucks. I think that's best for the NBA is the Bucks win the title. And Giannis, having an international guy who's a superstar already.
I told you, international
and
Jordan.
Beloved. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that would be a great move for who's like the last. I'd have to think about this off the top of my head. Is Dirk like the last international Finals MVP, or you know what I'm saying? Like best player on the title. I mean, unless Tim Duncan counts.
Yeah, the Bahamas. I think it's Dirk. It's got to be Dirk.
Who's the last guy that's like definitively un-American? Because Tim Duncan played for USA. It's Dirk. So we need a new guy. We need Giannis to get over the hump for. I guess a lot of like Embiid would count. Jokic would count. Whatever.
We got a lot of great international players. In fact, if you were going to start a franchise right now, it might be the first time in NBA history where you would say, I start my team with an international player, and nobody would, bat an eye. Like if you said, I'm going to start my team with Giannis, people say, good pick. Start with Luka, good pick. Start with Jokic, good pick. Start with Embiid, good pick. And that's above Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant. I mean, if you did it, it wouldn't be crazy, and I think that's fascinating. In general,
where do we land on the whose hands power rankings? If you're giving the people an idea of now that Luke is out, the league is not in his hands anymore.
Yeah.
It's got to be Trey. You're saying Devin Booker?
I think it's Donovan Mitchell or Devin Booker. I think
not Trae Young.
Trey's in there. Trey's in there. The league cannot be in Trey's hands. Not by my.
Did you not hear what I was saying earlier? You can't hurt this man.
No,
you can't hate this man.
I'm saying that is what the league, the NBA, will never market themselves where the league is in Trey's hands, is what I'm saying in that sense. So that's why I'm saying that Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker are the ones, and Ben Simmons. Those are probably the three that they put it in.
I hear what you're saying. I think I might disagree.
No way.
I think Atlanta helps with Trey. I think Atlanta is a great
Atlanta's a great city.
It's a great city, but it's also Atlanta. Let's be honest, kind of the only major. No offense, Charlotte, but if we're talking about southern cities,
Atlanta's the capital of the South.
Yeah, it's the capital of the South. Yeah. It represents an entire region of this country, and I think the idea of trying to prop up Atlanta.
I would never argue Charlotte over Atlanta, for the record. I'm not that guy.
I don't know enough about it either way. I'm saying from a marketing perspective, Atlanta has cachet for the NBA in that regard. That it's certainly a bigger deal than the Magic or even Miami doesn't count as the South.
But the team, the Atlanta Hawks currently, one, cheap ownership. Two, they haven't even paid their coach who's winning them games, and they are basically trying to weirdly say we don't want you. So he's going to start doing interviews pretty soon, Nate McMillan. So that's already strange that's happening. So yes, the Atlanta from the outside looking in, it looks great, but it's a mess. That whole thing is a mess.
The idea of Trae Young in Atlanta, I'm saying, being elevated.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
The rest of it, though, you're saying
is a mess. It's
All
a mess. But Trae Young, if he does beat the Sixers, then the NBA can't deny him. That's what would be fascinating because, like I said, they don't want the league to be in his hands. That's my whole point. The league, where the ball goes, whose hands it in, it is decided by the entertainment president, Adam Silver. And he will not put the ball in Trae's hands.
What about Luke Kennard?
Maybe. $64
Put it in Luke
million
Kennard's
man.
hands. Michael Porter.
Michael Porter Jr., we'd put it in his hands. That's for sure. I was going to say, like, what is the most likable team left in the NBA playoffs? I mean, Sixers, Bucks, Hawks, Clippers, Jazz, Nets, Nuggets, Suns. I do think the most likable team that America has fallen in love with, sincerely, and I say this, is probably the Bucks. Like,
Yeah.
I think Giannis is liked by the majority of Americans. Like, he does not have any sort of stench to him. There's been no reason for anyone to not like him. He is taken the punches and bounce back.
Here's the problem. I feel like America does not like bigger guys. That this is why
They
Steph
can't relate.
This is why Steph is so beloved beyond being great at basketball. It's the idea of watching a guy and saying the only reason he's good is because he's so big. I think that turns people off. Not everybody. I don't think people hate Giannis by any stretch of imagination, but he's missing that extra umph when you watch him because you're like, the only reason he's good, this is what the average person that's not paying that much attention would say. The only reason he's good is because he's so tall and he just jumps up and dunks on people. Who cares? That's boring. So that's what worries me about that. Because I think like Devin Booker's fun to watch. You could talk me into the Suns being the most beloved team, but they're kind of new on the scene.
But see, the Suns had that. I think the Suns had the belt until the Game 7. And they let their Game 6, they let their emotions out. And then the
too much trash talking,
casual LeBron fans are like, I am out
Every
on the
time-
Suns. I hate them forever. You know what I mean? Like that unfortunately happened to them.
Every time I get a close shot of a guy talking trash, especially if it's far away, like a guy's like kind of yelling across the court, I just assume every single guy is yelling bitch ass bitch. I don't know why. I just put like I encourage you at home to assume that, and it's fun. It makes it fun if you just assume the guy's like bitch ass bitch, because I think most of them are probably saying that. Like when you
Something
say
along those lines,
when you say give me that shit when you block a shot,
Yeah,
I think it's the same sort of thing.
It's what LeBron said.
So
to
you
Steph
see Devin
Curry.
Booker talking out the side of his mouth,
as
he's like, I just doing that, and you're just he's saying bitch ass bitch. I think.
I mean, the
That's
best
what he
part
said.
about his little trash talk was he just said, "Say something." Obviously, nothing was said. He said, "That's what I thought."
Bitch ass bitch.
Exactly. Yeah, insert.
So I thought you bitch ass bitch. It's so good.
It's great.
I think the Nuggets are fun too, right?
Yeah, the Jokic is Giannis. Like Jokic and Giannis, like Nuggets Bucks is the most likable
that'd be
series
the most likable
for everybody.
series. I think so too.
And I think we all watch it and we almost feel bad for the team that loses. Kind of with the Blazers series. Like I felt bad for the team that lost every one of those games. I never was like great win over here. I was like, oh man, that sucked for the other team. I feel like that's how the finals would be with those two teams.
I would agree with all that. Is there anything else? I think we hit it all. There are 2 games tonight. Nets Bucks. Nets up 1-0. James Harden is not playing, right? They said his hamstring.
I mean, I feel for him. I mean, I saw Steve Nash press conference. He was like, this guy was so hyped up for this game and getting ready for it and yada, yada, yada. But it is true. The hardest part of missing games, as stupid as it may sound, me saying the sentence, is conditioning and getting back into game shape.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard to say that I'm not going to play X amount of games and then come in and be ready to go. I mean, that's just not how it works. So.
I'm gonna preface this by saying injuries are never funny, and if you make jokes about a guy being injured, you're despicable, and it's not funny in any way, shape, or form. But it is interesting. It would be interesting. If I guess this would have to be the finals for it to be that interesting because Harden will be back. But the idea of them putting together the super team and then of the three, the big 3. Sorry, Blake Griffin, you don't count. Of Kyrie, Durant, and Harden. Harden's the only one that hasn't won a title.
Yeah.
And they put them all together, and then Harden's like out for the run, and they win the title, and Harden finally gets this ring that he kind of didn't really play in the playoffs.
And let's be honest, Adidas comes out with a commercial that summer.
It's like,
champions are built in the offseason. James Harden doing dribbling drills. I mean, the craziest part to me is like, if that were to happen, James Harden started the season on the Rockets. I mean, you know what I mean? That feels so far removed from reality. And we started the year after the bubble with him.
Dude, the bubble last season and into this season, the blending together, it's
And it's so blended together and so almost it's become like this cloud of I don't want to talk about it that people have forgotten, like we talked about in the last episode, that the Lakers won a championship.
No,
they did. They won a championship.
I don't think it counts anymore. I think
I think that I have been so amazed that because I assumed when the Lakers lost in the first round that it would just be the who cares, we just won, we're the champs. But it has been none of that, and I'm so much so that I have to remind people that they did win the championship.
But I think the reason people are discrediting it, which by the way, people were discrediting it at the moment, before it even happened. When the bubble was announced, they're like, when the Lakers
we
win
did a
this,
show and we joked about it.
Yeah, we're like this is weird. I don't know if this should count. But part of the reason they're saying it shouldn't count is because all the other teams that have had success in the bubble, it feels like, have sucked. They're what, 3 of the 8 teams that are left in the NBA were in the final 8 of the bubble playoffs last year. That's crazy.
I mean,
that's crazy.
71 days before they start a season if you're the Heat or the Lakers. So both those teams almost get a pass, but they won't get a pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the craziest part of the offseason when you just think about it from that level. It's like the Mavericks they're saying we're good. We're not going to make any wholesale changes here. The Blazers, they make wholesale changes. They get rid of stats. So like we've seen teams make decisions, and the Lakers, I think they're going to make wholesale decisions. Like I will not be shocked if 2 weeks from now you and I are talking about Frank Vogel's replacement. You know what I mean? Like I will not be shocked. And the same thing goes with, I mean, not the Miami Heat with their coaching, but like the personnel changes that are going to happen. Like we might not be talking about Duncan Robinson next year on the Heat, And that's
just
crazy.
Send him to a cool team. That's all they ask.
I'm just saying that's crazy to think we were in the bubble and we're talking about Duncan Robinson being,
it's
one
crazy
of the faces
that is
of the Miami
how
Heat, and now
that's how it used to work. Is like you a team goes to the finals, like that you have it. You have your core.
We have
that
a
is
recipe.
It. We have it. Yeah. We're gonna take this.
Yeah.
And just go, and we're gonna
we're
5
gonna be
years.
Great.
Yeah, we got a window now.
Yeah,
and that's not how it works.
The window is shut.
The window gets shut immediately.
they open it up a little bit. They shut it down.
The other game tonight, Nuggets Suns. That series gets underway. You said 2 very likable teams. I have no idea who's gonna guard Devin Booker for the Nuggets. Austin Rivers is probably gonna start on him. I don't know how that's gonna go. Probably not well.
I feel like Aaron Gordon.
Monty Morris. Aaron Gordon will get his crack. Maybe some Shaq Harrison off the bench. Probably not, but that feels like a game 5 play. Like right around game 5, 6, you throw him in.
I think you just put Bol on him. Open the series. Bol starts, and he's just picking up full court. Is picking up Devin Booker.
Why don't coaches do the insane adjustment in
early.
Game 1?
Yeah,
and then work your way by game 7. It's just like Austin Rivers on Devin Booker.
I would love
go backwards with it.
You and I need to be like assistant coaches for the idea of that, just to like see the reaction of the other coaching staff when that happens. When we put out our starting lineup of all 7-footers,
dude, that's
like they're going big.
That's how sports movies get made, though.
Yeah.
Is that exact thing? Is like you're sitting in a room and there's everyone's talking, and then there's one guy that's like throwing a baseball up and catching it 20 times. It hasn't said a word.
Yeah.
And
he's like,
they look over and they're
play?
like, yeah.
We're like, what?
Like, Tate, will you stop throwing the baseball? Unless you have something to contribute, please leave. And you're like, I have something to contribute.
Yeah.
Bull.
Yeah.
On Devin Booker.
Press. Full court press. Rick Pitino.
The flip side of that, who the hell's going to guard Jokic? Nobody.
Ayton.
I guess that's the point. Is like nobody ever guards him.
I said this to you yesterday, and I hope I'm wrong about this because I like DeAndre Ayton a lot, but I do feel like this series gives me Cameron Krutwig versus Kofi Coburn vibes, where, Jokic is our Krutwig and Ayton is our Kofi Coburn, and there's going to be some times in this series where, our Kofi Coburn, DeAndre Ayton is a little lost because Jokic is putting him in a blender.
Okay.
And I would love to be proven wrong because I'm so in on DeAndre Ayton being the #1 pick in that draft and being a great player that contributes to a title contending team. But I would not be shocked if Jokic does that because
Jokic is going to go nuts.
He's too good. He's too good.
In the span of 2 weeks, I think now we've compared Kofi Coburn to I compared him to Joel Embiid and I think Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
I think those are the two.
Yeah. And now we got him DeAndre Ayton. I mean, and if you're an NBA GM, you have to feel good about Kofi Coburn.
You hear that? How are you not taking Kofi Coburn?
Shades of DeAndre Ayton, shades of Wilt Chamberlain, shades of Joel Embiid.
Let's wrap it up. Shout outs, closeouts. Do you have anything else to say?
Man, I just want to shout out in general the fact that we've gotten to an NBA playoff position without Steph Curry, without LeBron James, without the feeling like we have to check the box of someone's story arc. You know, it was some huge figure story arc in the NBA world.
It is nice. It's nice to not have to worry about.
Like KD's the only one that really is of that conversation, and Kawhi maybe KD and Kawhi, but like Kawhi doesn't want it, so we don't have to do it. And KD I think is like post that conversation, so he doesn't want to.
Here's the secret.
It's nice for narrative talk. No narrative.
The secret that I think we should all just accept, and it would make this a lot easier for all of us, is that legacies don't matter.
Yeah.
None of them matter. There are maybe 3 guys playing right now. I guess I shouldn't even say that, but
I mean,
who you know, like honestly, think about some of the George Mikan in his time was probably the greatest player of all time to people. They're probably like, this guy will be a legend forever, and we know his name, but does anybody know anything about George Mikan other than that he shoots reverse layups? And that's what he's famous for. And that's like the idea of a legacy.
Lakers.
You know what I'm saying? Like the idea of obsessing over, like ask people who are diehard basketball fans to name one thing about Elgin Baylor, who's one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and is, a legend in his own right.
If we asked a casual fan Elgin Baylor, they would think the school Baylor was named after Elgin Baylor.
Right.
Yes.
But that's my point, is like, and when Elgin Baylor, I'm not saying he thought this, but if Elgin Baylor was playing now and Elgin Baylor retires, at that moment you're like, this guy is a legend of all legends. Yeah. We will be saying his name for the rest of time. Mm-hmm. He and fast forward to today, and everyone's like, what team did he play for? I've heard of the name. What team was he on? What did he? And to that point, I say none of this matters.
Yeah.
When you're talking, like, just enjoy the game. It's all entertainment. We're all just like,
no. I mean, it's kind of like it's like a human farce. It's something that we've created to cope with our,
mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
we're all hurling through space, and the sun's gonna engulf us. So let's like stop pretending like it matters whether LeBron has 6 or 5 or 4 or 3.
Or do you remember that Buster Keaton was the one that created this in the film, or was it like Charlie Chaplin? You know what I mean? Like those types of conversations. As much as we like to think that's how things will be remembered, but, and it just doesn't work that way.
To that point, I am happy that these playoffs do not seem to be consumed by that. As you said, I don't think.
It's the year. It's the year where we can watch basketball.
Who's the one? I mean, Chris Paul would be a good thing. Like, he's got to get his title. Maybe Harden, same deal, but Harden's is going to be.
But it's like the secondary story to the main story, which is like the Suns, the upstart Suns, with head coach Monty Williams, the coach of the year, is taking young star Devin Booker. Oh, also Chris Paul's there, and Chris Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
who has the most pressure then? Who, like, if you're talking about
Kevin Durant?
Usually it is the legacy discussion, and if you, I swear to God, if you blow this,
it's Kevin Durant. Unfortunately,
you don't think it's Giannis?
I think it's Kevin Durant.
But I agree with you that he has to win it, but I don't agree with you in the sense that, like, if Durant wins, it does nothing to change anything anybody thinks about. No one's saying like it's going to be relief. It's not.
It's relief. Yeah, I guess you're right. It is relief, and I think.
But I guess that is. I don't know.
Giannis is like, he's 26. Jordan won his first title at 27. So like, if Giannis wins this title, then we're having. Then we start having the real conversation about Giannis.
Is he the GOAT?
I mean, seriously though, I mean, not the GOAT, but like, we'll have this conversation of like, I mean, he'll be the international GOAT potentially if he wins a championship. Now he's competing with Dirk to be the greatest, or Hakeem. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's a great Team USA tidbit, by the way. Hakeem Olajuwon played for Team USA.
Whoa.
So,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, like, I don't even know if he's in that conversation. So,
whoa.
Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But, like, regardless, Giannis is in this international GOAT conversation. And the funny part about it is that Luka is going to be right here alongside his journey, just a little bit behind him, as he's climbing up to see who's going to be the international GOAT. So, like, there's a world in which the NBA conversation is not about Jordan, LeBron. It's about Giannis, Luka. But it's about the international greatest player we've ever seen.
It's going to be a Coach K, Jim Boeheim situation where they're just
they're best friends.
They're the best. They're best friends, and they're climbing together.
What if Luka goes to Milwaukee or Giannis goes to Dallas? There's your super team.
Oh man. Speaking of Coach K, I want to shout out Coach K. He is retiring this upcoming season. He has announced recently it'll be his final season in college basketball. The man is a legend. The shadow he has cast over the sport of college basketball is
such a shadow.
Such a shadow.
The darkest, coldest shadow we've ever seen.
I think I would just like to take a moment during our show here to just say I respect you, Coach. I appreciate what you brought to the game, and we will certainly miss you.
I just want to point out, Nolan Smith quote tweeted the Maryland basketball account that put out a video of John Shire getting dunked on. He called them clowns for doing this, and we all say, welcome to college basketball, buddy. Like, this is...
That's what I said, dude.
Bring Maryland back to the ACC.
That's why I'm ready for the Boo brothers to go on tour and boo Coach K,
God.
because it's not even about booing K per se. It's about it disgusts me. It really does. Like I saw that Carolina tweeted nothing but respect for Coach, and they had a statement from Roy Williams and Hubert Davis. And that disgusts me, Tate. I love that Maryland did this. I for anybody to pretend now, if you've hated K, it reminds me of everyone to just shit on Kobe nonstop, and then Kobe dies tragically, and everyone's like, I didn't mean any of this.
Yeah, they're like, he's the greatest. You're like, wait a second, what?
He's actually, you're like, wait,
you can't. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, we have the
just
receipts.
Be consistent. Just be like, I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry for his family.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
be like, the whole time I actually love Kobe.
Exactly. The more I think about it, he's actually my favorite player of all time. You're like,
you don't have to say all that. Just and that's what I feel like is going to happen to K, is that you shit on this man for 40 years.
Yes.
Don't now in his final season be like, we respect you. We love what you've done for the game. No. See this through to the finish line.
No.
Shit on him some more.
Yeah. He wants it.
He wants it.
He really does. He really wants it. Give the man what he wants.
Oh man, that's all I got.
That's a great final shout out.
Right.
I think every single show we just have to remind people that Coach K, this is the farewell tour. We will be covering it every single week right here on Titus and Tate. We'll see you soon. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.